What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, not in the studio today, but there is some updates and some big updates coming from big journalists about the current situation at Tottenham. And you just think it can't get any worse. You think we've hit rock bottom. You think everyone should be pulling in the same direction to keep us in this league, to be up for this fight. And the news at the moment coming out from certain journalists and certain voices is not what you want to hear when you're in a relegation fight and in the situation that we're in currently. It is such a sad situation, to be honest. That and reading some of the things right now that are coming out, beggars belief. It just makes me so sad to hear about these reports. Well, first off, talk about Matt Law. He's done a bombshell report about Igor Tudor. He says the Tottenham players have no faith in Igor Tudor, who has failed to bond with the squad. This leaves Vinai and Lange having to decide whether to sack Tudor either side of Sunday's trip to Liverpool and potentially put their own positions under threat. There is belief around Spurs that Venkatesh and Lange could face difficult questions internally if they are forced to admit they made an error regarding Tudor, or if they stick with him and the situation does not improve. He goes on to say, players accept their roles in the club's demise, but they have been left shell-shocked by Igor Tudor's approach. The Croatian's communication is in private and public has been a sort of discontent. In training, he is said to have adopted a loud, aggressive style from day one while in public, and he has repeatedly made his dissatisfaction clear. I mean, it doesn't look like they're playing for him. It looks like they're sick of him already after 4 games. A lot of journalists already been saying sack him. It's been a horrific appointment, go in a different direction. And now there are leaks from the camp basically going in on backing up what people have been saying and what we've been seeing on the pitch. Tactically, we seem to be a mess. The things have gotten worse. The performances have gotten worse. We're looking worse on the pitch. Red cards are still going on. Made mistake after mistake. There are some players who look like they're getting sent off on purpose, to be honest. And all of a sudden, this report backs that all up. Obviously, it's a shambolic situation. It's an absolute shambolic situation, unforgivable situation that we're in. We've got a manager who can't inspire these players, who can't get anything more out of these players than the previous one, and in fact, he's getting less out of them. And now we're getting voices from leaking inside the dressing room saying the players are not happy with the manager already after 4 games. These players are such spoiled, entitled, whatever. Look. For me, Tudor, I've got no love for Tudor. I don't really care about him. Yeah, he's honest, but at the end of the day, he's brought in to make an immediate impact and he hasn't done it. We can sack him tomorrow. But at the end of the day, we need someone who can inspire the players. But the last guy couldn't do it. Now it seems though Igor Tudor's rubbed them up the wrong way. Apparently, the Kinski situation, which I wasn't happy with how Tudor dealt with that, was apparently the final straw for a lot of these players when it came to Igor Tudor. And they don't like his approach, his man management style. The whole thing is an absolute mess from top to bottom. We have gone from bad decision to bad decision. It looks like Igor Tudor was another bad decision. For me, if this is how the players feel, we should sack him. He shouldn't be in a role at the moment. We should have gone in a new direction because we are in such a bad situation. We are in such a bad situation that we need just positivity. We need someone who can build some sort of positive momentum. And if this ain't the guy to do it, and if the players already aren't having him, if they're sick of him after 4 days, get rid, sack him. What is the point of keeping him in charge if he can't inspire these players? There's no point. But then the question is, who can get these players on side? What are these players trying their best? Well, you go into the next quote from Jay Harris. That puts that into question. He says, some players, this is Jay Harris from The Athletic, he says some players at Tottenham are determined to arrest the team's decline, but have expressed displeasure at the application of others who they believe are not motivated to help the cause. The Athletic has even been told that one player has expressed to his teammates that he is not too concerned by the possibility of relegation because he believes he can and will leave the club in the summer. I mean, we've been theorising and talking about it on the channel. Is that the case? Are there some players who just don't care? Are there some players who are willing to see the club go down, so they make their job easier to leave. Well, that player should be named and shamed, and he should never put on that shirt again. I don't care who it is. That player, or if there's anyone else that feels that way, should be out of the team. I cannot believe we're talking about players who are being paid hundreds of thousands a week, millions of pounds a year, and they don't care that much. They're willing to see the club go down to make their lives easier. They're willing to see the pain and the hurt from all us fans, from maybe some staff members who will lose their jobs or whatever. They're willing to put the future of the club in jeopardy just so they can get their move in the summer, when they could probably get it anyway, even if we stay up. It is an absolute disgrace. It is a disgrace of the highest proportion, and that player should be named and shamed. If anyone in that dressing room knows who it is, say it publicly. Say it publicly so we know exactly who we're dealing with. It is a disgrace that there's anyone in the dressing room feeling that way. I'm so fuming when I heard that. We're theorising whether it's a possibility. People will say, yeah, well, I knew about it, or people might say, I'm thinking that. Well, now we're hearing it from a player, from leaks from inside the dressing room. I think that's... I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming that there's anyone in that dressing room that feels that way. They need to be rooted out. It is a disgrace that anyone can think that that is a possibility that they're happy with or find acceptable. I think the chairman, the players should tell the chairman or the ownership exactly who this guy is, and they tell him, if we go down, you are not moving. You are getting a 50% wage deduction, and you are staying here. I don't care if you have to sit in the reserves. We will put the money in ourselves. You are not moving an inch if we go down. That is exactly what the ownership should be saying to that player or whoever else feels that way. If they think they can just sit here and watch us go down, they should not be allowed to get their way. It is utterly disgraceful. But we're reading all this. We're playing. The players don't like the manager. They're already not on board. We're having apparently there's a player who has publicly told other players he's not too concerned about us going down, getting relegated. How are we supposed to survive in these circumstances? How are we supposed to pull ourselves together and keep ourselves up when we've got Forest and West Ham, both of them fighting tooth and nail with every inch of their being, every fibre of their being to stay in this division, and we've got disagreements in the dressing room. We've got people throwing their toys out the pram. We've got managers throwing players under the bus publicly and for all to see, taking players off after 15 minutes because they made a mistake. I don't know how we're supposed to get out of this. This is what I'm talking about when a lot of Tottenham fans are talking about when they say, I don't know how we get out of this situation. Because it's not just about how we're playing on the pitch. It's not just about the form. It's also about this situation where there's clear no unity anywhere in this football club. It is a sad situation, but it all stems from the owners allowing this culture to fester. It stems from them making the wrong decisions, not building a football club these players can believe in. We've heard already, the captain of the football club speak out publicly about his dissatisfaction with how the club is run and maybe lies he's been told. And so maybe it's no surprise when the ownership sell out the players, that the players are now selling out the ownership. Maybe it's no surprise. When they feel like they've locked down and they've been hung out to dry with no signings, no help with all the injuries we've got, maybe they're going to hang out the ownership to dry. Maybe they're hanging out the club to dry because feel like they've been hung out to dry. This whole thing is a mess. This whole thing, I'm losing my mind. I don't know how we get out of this. What new manager could unify this dressing room right now? Who can come in and save this? Because it seems unsavable. And people, you say you're catastrophizing, you'll stay up, you'll be fine. Look at this situation. We're getting leaks from inside the dressing room about everything you don't want to hear right now. Pretty much the worst thing you could hear is being leaked out now by the journalists. The worst possible thing. Miguel Delaney says Sean Dyche is being considered by Tottenham, but doubts exist over whether he wants a short-term role. His settlement following his departure from Forest may also be an issue. Sean fucking Dyche. That's where we are. A firefighter who's just been sacked by one of the rivals that we competed with to stay up. That is where we're at, Sean Dyche. I don't know anymore, guys. Maybe we should. When we started out as a joke, but maybe we bloody should. But if they didn't want to play for Frank, why would they want to play for Dyche? They thought Frank is a manager for small teams. What does that make Dyche? And will they be receptive to what he's got to say? But who the hell are they receptive to? Maybe one guy they might be receptive to. Ange Postecoglou. He was on TNT Sports yesterday. He said, it's hard for me to comment about what's going on at Tottenham from the outside, but for me, it's just about instilling into, show them the kind of players they are. Not that they can be, they are, and they've already been asked whether he would go back to an ex. He said no comment. Interestingly, he said that because before he said he put a straight no. That's been his party line. When he was on the overlap, he wouldn't go back to an old club, and now he's saying no comment. Has there been discussions? Is there something going on behind the scenes? If there's one guy we know that they would potentially fight for, it is Ange Postecoglou. Could he galvanise his team and get us out of this situation? You know what? I'm willing to risk it right now because I don't see how we get out of this. Well, actually, we just got an update from Peter O'Rourke saying Sean Dyche is unwilling to take the Tottenham on. We can't even get Sean Dyche in. We can't even get Sean Dyche in. It's not even a job a firefighter wouldn't take. That's how bad it is. Get Ange back. The players like him. And maybe that's the main thing right now. Someone who can just get the players on side, because that seems to be one of the biggest issues we've got. That seems to be the biggest issue we've got, is someone who can make the players believe, who they get on board with, who they weren't happy was sacked. Get him back. Get him back. Throw whatever money you need to get him through the door and keep us in the division. That is, I don't know how else we can stay up. I think get Ange back. Plead on the phone on your hands and knees. Apologise. Say we need you. Because we need him. We need someone in that dressing room. And the players know him. They believe him. He knows the players. He doesn't come in having to figure out the problems. He knows the problems. He knows exactly what's going on. Throw money at him. That I don't know what else I can say. They're not having anyone else. Sorry I couldn't be more positive on today's update. We'll see you soon. But yeah, it's a dire situation at Tottenham. Anfield next. Doesn't get much easier. See you soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.